Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mel and I'm a fashion blogger and I love thrifting, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing today. I am taking you with me to the thrift store. We're going to find some really cool stuff together. Before we jump into it, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you can follow along every single time that I make a new video, which usually is 2 times per week. That's a lot of thrifting, but it's also a lot of fun. So without further ado, let's get into it. You might recognize this thrift store, and that's because it is the closest one to my house and I go all the time. I went in my most recent video, which you should also watch. The jewelry and home goods section is right when you walk in, so the first thing I go to look at is the jewelry counter. They take all of the nice expensive stuff and they put it behind the counter so you can't access it. There were a lot of fake Louis Vuitton bags, and even if there was something behind here that I wanted to look at, I would never go and grab a staff member to help me. I always feel awkward doing that for some reason. And I haven't come out with my 2025 thrift list video yet, and I promise I will soon, but one of the big things that I'm looking for is gold chunky jewelry because I wear a lot of it. So the jewelry counter was my first stop for this reason. I didn't find anything behind the counter today though. Next up is the home decor section. I found this really cool Russian doll, but unfortunately didn't come with any of the other Russian dolls. And I was also looking for anything that was generally brass or just fun and whimsical. I really like these little ducks. Unfortunately, to me, they looked a little bit cheap, so I decided to pass on them because there was no way I was paying $4 for each of them. I've mentioned this in previous videos, but this SAVERS for some reason is very overpriced. They usually have a lot of good stuff though, like these little wooden clogs. I did consider getting them. These were only $3 each, so it would have been $6 for the set, which isn't too bad. I also really like this jade, I think it's a whale, but unfortunately it was broken, so I had to pass on that as well. Ultimately, I did go back for the clogs, even though I've never been to Holland before, but I really like the floral design on them, so I put them in my cart and decided on them later. You'll have to watch the end to see if I do or don't buy these. You can see I abandoned my cart as soon as I walked in, so I have to walk a few steps to go and grab it, but this is the first item that I'm adding to my cart. I've been really liking everything that is stained glass recently. On my thrift wish list, I am looking for a Tiffany style lamp, so I thought that candle holder was a really good option. I also found this Louis Vuitton box and this little cigar box that was made out of wood. I've been looking for more jewelry type storage, and I think this could be a potentially good option. From watching my videos, you're probably getting a sense of my overall home decor style or things that I generally gravitate towards. Usually it's anything that's fun and whimsical, like this little orange vase. I did not bring this home with me because I don't have any room for it, but I really considered this beautiful set of glassware. It was very heavy, but again, $8 I feel like is a really steep price for it. And that was $8 for each item, not $8 for the set. Most thrift stores have a lot of great glassware. You just have to look because they always have a lot of it. And there were hundreds of items for me to look through today. I think I spent a full hour just looking at the home decor section overall. I found a lot of really pretty colored glass. I love this pink option, but my favorite colored glass is really anything that's amber, like you can see here. I really wish I had space for more glassware in my apartment, but unfortunately it's very tiny and I don't have a ton of storage. When we buy a house, our plan is to refinish the basement and have a bar downstairs. So this beer stein could be really cool for it, as well as these little teacups. I did end up passing on these, even though I probably shouldn't have, but I have to stick to my thrift list, and right now frames are a big item on my thrift list. I'm looking for anything that's like a medium or dark wood or gold or brass material. Unfortunately, not a lot of the frames met that description today, or they're broken or had like single use to it. For instance, this engaged frame, I feel like you can only use it when you are engaged, and that can be wasteful. I really like this frame though. It was really small, so I feel like a little Instax picture could look really good in it. I considered it for a while, as you can see from the footage coming up. I was trying to find the best way to potentially get this so it fits into my overall home decor. It was a medium wood, but I wasn't so sure about the black hardware. I could have taken the black hardware out, spray painted it gold, and then put it back in, but I still felt like it had an overall like farmhouse look and feel, which isn't my overall vibe. I thought this was funny. Someone framed a picture of Uggs and then donated it to the thrift store. It's probably something that I would do, is frame a picture of Uggs. I feel like all I do on this channel is complain about thrift store prices, but why would you pay $3.49 for one promotional glass that you can likely just get for free? But anyway, now I'm making my way to the craft and office supplies section, which is not a section that you should skip in the thrift store. Most thrift stores will bag up similar items and price it for something that's fairly reasonable for the most part. You can get, again, a lot of office supplies like pens, but then a lot of craft supplies that are usually pretty expensive in store. A big item on my thrift list this year is storage baskets. I'm looking for anything that's more of like a medium or a dark tone, and also baskets that are a lot more heavyweight. Baskets are perfect to find at the thrift store because even if they are a little expensive at the thrift thrift store, it's still way cheaper than what you can buy new. So always look at the thrift store first if you are buying baskets. I really like this option that you see here. I thought $8 was a pretty good price for it too. Unfortunately, the basket itself was just a little bit busted, so I did have to pass on it today. I thought these 3 little plaques were funny because 2 of them were for Michael Phelps. And I don't know much about sports, but I'm 99% positive that this was referencing the Olympic swimmer. It's just a weird thing to donate, but an even weirder thing to buy in the first place. I really love these wooden goblets. I feel like it's something that you could find from Anthropologie, along with this little basket that had like eyelet details in it. I did add this to my cart and I considered it throughout my whole trip. I did not take this home with me though, because on the back of it, I don't show it here, but it has actually like a memorial for something. So I got kind of freaked out and I put it back because I didn't know if it was like for somebody's ashes or something. In addition to colored glass, I'm always on the lookout for crystal glass as well. This thrift store always has a lot of good options. You just have to look. You can usually tell if it's crystal by the weight of it, and also if it has like pretty etching like this tray here. I feel like these types of trays and little canisters are great for jewelry storage, which is very high up in my thrift list this year. I love these glasses that you see here. I love anything that has ducks or mallards. Unfortunately, I just did not think the cost of these glasses were worth the price. They were $3.49 each, depending on the size, and I would have loved to get the full set. It just would have been probably about $30 in order to do so. I would get them if they were maybe $2 or less. I'd already spent about an hour in the thrift store at this point, and I was running out of time. I had to get home to Winston, so I took a very quick scan through the clothing today. I didn't really have anything on my list that I was actively looking for, but I have been trying to get rid of clothing. So with that, I've been trying not to buy as much clothing. I found some really pretty sweaters and cardigans, which are always things that I gravitate towards this time of the year. And look, there's me. This thrift store changed their layout since the last time I had been here. The dresses are in a different section now, and the racks are a little bit further apart, so it's actually a lot more brighter in the dress section, which I prefer. I did a really quick scan of all the dresses. You can see there were hundreds that I could have looked through, but at this point I really didn't have the energy for all of it, and I don't wear a lot of dresses in the winter either, so I'm going to wait until spring when I buy things that I know I'm absolutely going to wear. Next up is the blanket section. I've mentioned this in previous videos before, but I am on the lookout for blankets, mostly ones that are handmade, like crocheted, and also ones that are 100% cotton. That way I can potentially make a jacket out of them. I'm also looking for vintage towels for the very same reason. I didn't find any today, but I will keep looking. The last part of the store I'm looking in is the accessories and shoe section. I'm always on the lookout for silk scarves. Unfortunately, today they didn't have any though. Usually they have a little bit more of a selection to look through, but I didn't even see anything that was the material that I was looking for. In the handbag section, I'm on the lookout for kind of like a slouchy leather type bag, one that's more like boho, and I'm hoping to put some studs on it because I do have a bedazzler now, which is really fun to use. You can see here there's so many handbags to look through. At this point, I did not have the energy to do that. Next time I come here, I'm going to have to start in the handbag and shoes section because this is always the last place I visit, and I feel like I'm always out of energy at the time. They had a lot of really good shoes in my size today, which I was really surprised about. I found this kind of like Western slingback type shoe, which I considered getting. They were in pretty good condition. And then right next to it, I found a pair of shoes that I almost considered purchasing, but decided not to just because of the condition of them. They were a vintage pair of Guess like mules, almost like clog mules, and right next to it was a pair of cowboy boots. These were from the brand Durango, and they were my size. They fit me really well, as you can see, but I didn't really think I would wear a color like this. Did find this Mary Lou shirt. If you know, you know. I live on the North Shore of Massachusetts, but if you're on the South Shore, you have some really good coffee down there. I took a look at the jeans on my way out. I found this pair of Good American jeans that had kind of like a suede front, and this pair of leather vintage pants that honestly, the price was pretty good. I really like this corduroy pair as well, but they would have just been way too small for me, unfortunately. I found this vintage sweatshirt from my college that I considered buying, but I thought $10 was a little bit too steep for it, and it had some damage, so I decided to pass on it for now. I thought this sewing machine was pretty cool. Again, you can get a lot of good crafting items at the thrift store, and unfortunately today they did not have my banker's lamp that I did have on my thrift list. They did have some really cool tables though. I thought this would be really cool to play like cards on. I feel like it's a card table. I remember seeing these mini fridges all over the internet a couple years ago, and you can see they all made their way back to the thrift store. And I promise this is the last time I'm complaining about pricing today, but look at the Shein shacket that they had on sale for $18.49. Before I checked out, I did stop by the little jewelry stands that they have at the register, and I found some pretty cool stuff. I really like this little bag accessory that was fluffy. I already bought one that was pretty similar to it, so I decided to pass on that. But they had a lot of really great costume jewelry and bracelets and necklaces. I love chunky like costume jewelry jewelry, and I'm trying to get more of it because, again, vintage jewelry is a lot better quality than what's out there today. Every time I go, I do make a point to stop by just to see if I can add to my collection. I spent $22.12. Stay tuned to see what I got. We are back, and I found a few great things that I'm really excited to show you. The thrift store is pretty close to my house. I personally don't really love going to SAVERS. I feel like that one specifically is extremely overpriced. So honestly, this time I skipped over the majority of the clothing section, which I don't normally do, but I really was keeping my eye out more for the home goods. And in the home goods section, there was a lot of really good stuff that I came home with. First and foremost being this frame. This was $1.99. I've been on the lookout for frames that have like medium to dark wood and or gold. And this just so happens to have both in it. It has like a gold trim, wooden frame, and I just thought this was really cool. I need more frames to put my wedding photos in, and I'm really excited for this one. Item number 2 is this little box. It is a cigar box. I got this for $3.99, and it opens so that you can store items on the inside of it. This is for my husband so he can store his watches in. We were thinking of lining this with velvet so nothing scratches. And my favorite part about it is that it says Te amo, which means I love you, and I think that's really nice because, again, it is for my husband. Neither of us smoke, but I really like this for storage. This item that I got is actually from the little craft section. It is this big old bag of little things that you can punch paper with. I opened them so you can see, but there's such a variety of different shapes that you can use for hole punching. It's kind of like a stamp. You put the paper in, you press the button, and then it comes out with like a little shape. This one's a star. A bunch of different shapes like moons, stars, flowers, and hearts. And I'm going to be giving this to my sister who loves crafting just as much as I do. Don't skip out on the little craft section at the thrift store. They usually bundle a lot of the items together, and it's a really great place to get office supplies as well as things for crafting at a fraction of the cost. There's like about 15 different stamps in here, and this is all for $3.99. This next item is a little vintage necklace. This was only $3.99. It's gold with these little white like marbly looking beads in it, and I really like the overall structure of it. It's missing a little bead in the back, but when I'm wearing it, you're not really going to be able to tell. I really like necklaces that have kind of like a thicker gold chain, so this caught my eye immediately. I've been looking for more vintage jewelry just because it's so much better made than what's out there today. The last item I got was a really great deal, and it is this pair of pants from Good American. If you're not familiar with the Good American brand, I believe it's owned by the Kardashians. I'm not sure which of the sisters, but when I worked in a consignment shop, this is one of our best-selling brands. I got this for only $7.29. It is my size, but I did buy it to resell. On the back, they look like a normal pair of jeans. They had a really fun like faux suede detailing, but on the front is almost fully full suede. I just thought that was a really fun detail overall. I've been seeing so many Western style looks in my feed, and I feel like this is a great addition to it. Kind of like a straight leg, and the only reason I'm not keeping these for myself is because these seem like they're going to be a little bit too long. Quite frankly, I don't really feel like hemming them. That was everything I got. Let me know in the comments what your favorite item was. I think my favorite was between the necklace and the bag of hole punchers. Before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can follow along every single time that I post a new video, which is usually 2 times a week. And it's like we'll be going thrifting together all the time, which I think would be really fun. Also follow my Instagram and TikTok. I post a lot more daily secondhand fashion content there. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!